teamed up with UK Auto Claims to see if you could be eligible to claim thousands in compensation. If you've had any cars, vans or motorbikes on finance between 2007 and 2021, well, just click the link below and start your simple free check. Hi, and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with my man Lee Judges in the building. We are here for another show. Lee, first of all, before we get into anything today, got to say congratulations, right? Hey, what's up?
Well, you know.
Congratulations! You won another trophy.
Yeah,
at the weekend, man.
Like
three trophies this season.
3 trophies this season. We've done the treble, like, you know. So
we had a more successful season than Arsenal.
We had a more successful than a lot of teams. You know what I mean? So,
what was that one then?
So that was like the Premier League Cup, like.
Wow.
So
see, is that all 3 trophies for the same team?
Yeah, all 3 trophies for the same team.
So you won a treble?
The 3 cups that we were in, we won all of them. The Essex County, so the League Cup, and then the Premier League Cup.
Treble?
Yeah, treble, 3 trophies.
That's impressive,
you know
man.
I mean? Yeah, obviously the big one was the Essex County Cup, like, you know, so to win that is, you know, that's our first season in that as well.
Yeah.
So to win that was great. And then, to win 2 cups in 2 weeks, like, you know, so surprisingly, the easiest one was Sunday, but you know, we went penalties in the other one, so it's been a very, very good season, like, you know. So.
Great season for you, maybe not as good for us Arsenal, and especially when Tottenham Hotspurs, right? They've been absolutely shocking all season, 21 defeats and counting, right? 17th in the league. That's 4 from bottom in the Premier League. And last night, they're up against Manchester United, who are just a place above them. What were they, 17th, 16th? I don't even know, mate. 18th in the league. Two of the worst teams, apart from the relegated team, the next 2 worst teams in the Premier League contesting the Europa League final. And Spurs won it. Spurs won it. Spurs lifted a European trophy. Big Ange was true to his name. He said he wins a trophy in his second season. He has won a trophy in his second season. And you know what? We were doing a watch-along for DR Sports, and I was driving home. And there was a load of them around, man, because I think they did a thing at their ground.
Yeah, it's mad.
Where they were watching it in the ground as well. I was driving home, there are flags everywhere. They started already. They got a parade, I think it's Friday.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
So the question is being asked now, because I've already had Tottenham fans on my case, right? Have they had a better season than Arsenal? Because they've won a trophy, and we haven't. Have Tottenham Hotspur 21 defeats, loss after loss after loss after loss? Have they had a better season than Arsenal? Arsenal finished second in the Premier League, semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, semi-finals of the Champions League, but no trophy.
Listen, let's not sugarcoat this, right? I've seen a lot of people online saying, "Oh, they're not bothered that Spurs have won this." Like, you know what I mean? I don't care. Just hold your hands up. We're bothered. I'm bothered that they've won it. And if I be really honest about it, look, it's a cup competition that we couldn't even enter, right? You know. So, but I a few of my mates have been on the phone and whatever. Like, you know, none of them were worried about 21 defeats when they were celebrating that yesterday. None of them. So, you know, they're in a little bit of a different position to us, but 17 years, you know, let them have their moment. Like, you know, that they deserve to win it. You know, you can only beat what's in front of you. I get in all this that they've played crap teams, they have, but at the end of the day, you can only beat what's in front of you. They've done that. And at the end of it, they've picked up a trophy, and I don't care what anybody says. You know, I think if they won a trophy, that's great, but to win the trophy, and at this moment in time, they're the 3rd guaranteed team to be in the Champions League. 3rd team. So that's the big thing for me, Champions League football for next season, like, you know. So you have to say, yeah.
You felt this one, innit?
I felt, I sat.
Your brother's, he must have been on the
my
phone.
brother, listen, I'm going to say this now, that there are some right horrible Spurs fans out there, we know, but there are some nice ones out there as well. Yeah. And a few of them that they know that I'm pleased for that they've done. One, my brother, you know what I mean? Like, I am pleased for him and on all that side of the family. Like, you know, my mum's partner Bill, he's a decent Spurs fan. Like, you know, listen, Michelle's boy Regan, he's 24 now. Like, you know, he's sending me, like, getting me on FaceTime at the stadium. I said, Regan, I don't want to see that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm pleased for him. You know what I mean? Like, it's 7 since the last time he's won it. So there are certain people that I'm pleased for. You know what I mean? But when you see a couple of Man United fans walking through the street and Spurs fans throwing beer over them and all that, they're the ones that I'm not. But there are some decent Spurs fans out there, and at the end of it, as much as I hate Spurs from that, they're a decent football club. You know, they're properly run football club, and you can see how big they are yesterday. When people say, "Oh, Chelsea are bigger" and all that, you know what I mean? Chelsea could not do what.
They looked like there was more Spurs fans than
there was more Spurs fans.
It looked like there's more Spurs fans than United.
Yeah, Man United, but we'll talk about Man United in a minute. But for me, that is why Spurs will always be a bigger club than, you know, in my era, always have been.
Yeah.
There's no way that Chelsea Football Club could take all of those fans out there and then fill up their stadium like that. You know what I mean? And so fair play to them.
Yeah.
Fair play to them. It hurts. And listen, anybody saying that it doesn't, getting online going, I don't care about them. So if you're saying that, look, let's not care about Spurs, whatever, why are you putting it out there then? For
me, right?
I care. I'm hurting that they've won it. There you go.
I wouldn't say I'm hurting.
Oh, Rob,
I wouldn't say I'm hurting, right?
I sat in my room last night, dark. It was dark, so 2:30 in the morning, like, lights out. It was, you know what I mean, like.
You know what it is, right, Lee? I think if they'd have beaten, if they would have just beaten another European team,
different. I get that.
I'd be hurting more. The fact that they beat United, right, is I've been able to transfer some of that hurt over to them, not right, because they were giving Arsenal so much stick for getting knocked out. I think I had more stick off of United fans than I did from Tottenham fans after that. After going out against PSG, they were so full of it, right? And we're going to, like you said, we'll get to United fans in a minute, right? But in the case of Spurs, you are right. Like, it's funny actually, because just going back on that subject, is when I was in Kenya last week, and big up to everybody over in Kenya, it was absolutely brilliant trip.
Yeah, I see that.
People over there were
jealous of the safari thing. Wow,
the safari was amazing. But it's funny because, like, all the fans over there, all the Arsenal fans wanted Spurs to win.
Yeah, because
they're like,
they haven't got what we got.
So what they're all saying to me, is like, Robbie, we don't know any Tottenham fans.
Yeah,
there's no Tottenham fans there. It's like every other fan, like the biggest club there is Arsenal, followed by Man United. So they're like, yeah, we're just going to they were saying the same thing. We've been getting destroyed by United over the past couple of weeks since we got out of Champions League. We want to get our own back on these lot. We don't know any Tottenham fans. If Tottenham win it, but we know all of them lot, they're going to be on our case. So I understood it from their point of view. But for me, listen, I'm kind of a bit like you. Like, I even had to send a message to Expressions last night and say, listen, congrats, bro. You know what I mean? I've seen her, right? I've been one of the main guys on this guy's case, right? But even this season, man, there's been times I've like almost like nearly, not 100%. I'm like slightly feeling a bit sorry for him. I'm like, this guy's just getting battered every week, man. Every week he comes in, he just gets lose. But then I see him wearing that PSG shirt. I'm like, no, actually, no, you deserve it, mate. You deserve it. But listen, I said to him, like, listen, man, you've been following your club relentlessly. They ain't won anything for 17 years. You won a trophy. Fair play, right? You know what I mean? Fair play. Have they had a better season than us? I was saying before they hadn't. But when I think about it, they're in the Champions League. We're in the Champions League. They won a trophy. We haven't won a trophy. When you look at it, the history books and all that's going to show they had a better season.
Exactly
than us.
that.
But the reality of it is a bit like what you said, is that they haven't really had a good season. They've saved their season, because the reality of it is they've lost 21 games in the league. That would normally send you down, relegated, right? They'd be almost be a bit like when Wigan, remember when they won the FA Cup and they got relegated and never to be seen again, right? I mean, they're very lucky that the 3 teams below them have been this bad all season. So Spurs fans are a bit careful, yeah? Because you know what? United fans did this last year. They were straight on the phone after the FA Cup final to their mates, including me, United fans, going, yeah, we've had a better season than you. Ah! And I'm like, yo, you're papering over the cracks. You won a trophy, but you ain't been good. You won a trophy, right? You've not been good, bro. And they went into the new
season.
They went into the new season. They kept the same manager because they were like, all right, now we won a trophy, reward him, all that stuff. Ended up having to sack him, bring in a new manager, and they've got worse. They've gone backwards. Maybe if they hadn't won that thing last year, they would have been more realistic in their approach.
That's a great point.
And they wouldn't be as bad. Because now United, they've gone backwards so much that next year, not only have they not got Europa League, they definitely ain't got Champions League. They ain't even got Conference League. They got nothing. Next year, they're out of all competitions, Manchester United. The same people that last year are on the phone saying that they'd had a better season. And the point that you make is true. We're not in the Europa League. If you Google the Europa League, if you was from Mars and you wanted to know what the Europa League is, you go and Google it. It says the Europa League is the second tier European competition. Second tier. That's not me saying it, not you saying it. That's the reality of it. It's a second tier competition. We're not in the second tier competition. We're in the top tier. That's the competition that really and truly, like, the fans will want the trophy, obviously, but all of the say hierarchy, the manager, the players, they want to be in the Champions League, which we're already in. Let's be real. If Tottenham Hotspur had been in the Champions League this season, they would not be lifting that right now. We know that, with the standard of teams that we see in it. Also, they're very fortunate. Both them and Manchester United were very fortunate to be contesting a trophy last night that can then get you into the Champions League. I think they're very lucky. I think that you'll see in the next couple of years, they'll probably look at that competition, because you think about it, yeah? There are you sort of alluded to it a little bit before when you say top 5 out of this league, top 5 out of the Italian league. There's 36 teams now. 36 teams in the Champions League. None of them drop into the Europa. I remember before they used to, this is the rule change this season when none of those teams drop into the Europa League, right? So it truly is a second tier competition now. You don't have teams like when we had it, where Atletico Madrid dropping into it, Chelsea dropping into all these, or whatever teams, Sevilla, even last year, you had the final. Now, it's just a second tier competition from start to finish. And you think about when we used to be in it, right? We'd absolutely walk the group stages, innit? We could literally change the, we make beer change. It would be like we was playing in the early stages of the Carabao Cup. And then when the teams dropped in now, that's when we got serious. You had to get serious because all of a sudden, but now you can literally do that all the way to the quarters finals. That's what Tottenham and United did. Then when you get to the latter stages, you can really bang on, take it serious. Bodo Glimt would never have been in the semi-final under the old format. Let's be real. They wouldn't. So it's a totally different competition. And I've had a lot of Arsenal fans saying to me, yeah, Robbie, but we want to win something. I asked the question to every Arsenal fan then, right? If you're so desperate for the trophy then, if it's just a trophy, and I don't know what value people place on certain trophies, and this again is not taken away from Spurs because it's saved their season. But if you, as an Arsenal fan, then you're so desperate, what are you saying? You would rather us play in a second or third tier competition?
Yeah, you can't.
To get a trophy?
You can't have
because
that.
all the other competitions that we were in with Spurs, they didn't do any better than us. Right, they've not been more successful. So if you check it, right, they weren't more successful than us in the Carabao Cup. They weren't more successful than us in the FA Cup. We both went out, right? And in the league, we finished second. They finished probably going to finish 17th. In a competition that we're not in and we can't be in, it's impossible for us to be in this season. They've won it, right? So what do you want? When I've had fans go, yeah, but they won a trophy. Like last week, that guy Ryan, yeah, but it's a trophy though. It's a no, what do you want? You want to be in that? All right, let's finish 7th, 8th then. So we're in the Conference League. I'm almost sure we'd win that. I've seen what Chelsea have done this season playing their B team.
You don't want to be in it, do you? We don't want to be in it. We don't want to be in it.
So it's what you want, really. I think it's too easy.
And if you are in it, you failed.
Yeah.
You failed.
Because everybody who's in it is desperate to win it because they want to get in the Champions League.
Tottenham wanted to get in the Champions League last season. They didn't, you know what I mean? They got in there. And listen, this is where I don't have a go at Tottenham for it. You can only play what's in front of you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I agree with that.
So that's it. So once they was in it, you're in it to win it, and they've gone and won.
And let's be real. Right from the start of the competition, both them and Manchester United were favourites to win it.
Right, that's what I'm going to say. Like, you know
right?
what I mean? I bet you next season Tottenham are not favourites to win the Champions League.
Well, of course not.
But the reason the two favourites to win that competition, like, when it started, was Tottenham and Man United.
Yeah,
and that's how it's come out. Like, you know, and listen, I think that there's two questions. I think at the end of it, you have to say it, Rick. If it's such a great competition that they've won, and it's a great season for Spurs, right? Yeah, then Ange Postecoglou keeps his job.
Yeah,
right. That's it. Now he should never be sacked because he's done the two things that his remit tells him to do: win a trophy and get Champions League football. So I don't want to hear all this sacking him lark and all that. Like,
but they know the reality is like what I just said about Man United.
The reality is
something different.
Where I will say Spurs have had a better season than Man United and all that is, but also don't forget Tottenham could turn around and say, well, we threw away the league this season. Like we put it all out. We couldn't win. Hear me out. So that's something that they could say, and the manager could say that. Like, yeah, to get everybody fit. I wanted to get everybody fit.
The last month or so,
playing for the games and whatever.
We did that as well. Not threw it away, but
exactly,
we threw away at games to a certain
extent. Different teams and all that.
Yeah.
So they've done that. So I don't think that where their actual league position probably would be a little bit different if they weren't in that cup competition and whatever, like, you know. And so that's there. I also say with Tottenham, when they say it's a bad season and everything like that, they got semi-finals of the League Cup. So they went deep in that, and all right, they got beaten by the champions in the end, but they went deep in that. Arsenal the same, but we went out to the team that won it. So you go there. The FA Cup, they went out away to Aston Villa. So they've in the cup competitions, they ain't done too bad, Rob. Like, you know what I mean. And this manager is proven that he can do it. Like, you know. So for me now, the question is, right, If this is what everybody's saying, this is Super Spurs, glory, Tottenham Hotspur, I'll keep hearing and all that, like, you know what I mean? Now you're masked now to that manager, and I don't think they will.
I don't think they will. If they're smart, they won't, because they should just look at what Man United did last year. Listen, as I said, right, and Lee's right. You can't listen. You've got to give them their plaudits. They have won the Europa League. They can only win what they're in. They've won it. And you've got to give them their flowers 100%. For winning it, right? But I'm just, you know what, I'm more directing it at some of our own fans that keep moaning and saying about, yeah, but they've won a trophy and we ain't. I don't think it's a fair comparison in this particular case, because if it would have been something that we were in, I think you could level that.
Of course you can.
But you can't level it when it's a competition we're not in. That's still the point I keep trying to make to some fans, because I don't want to be in the Europa League. I don't want to be in the Conference League. I want to be in the Champions League. That's what we've been fighting to get into that. And to be fair, we did well in it. We got to the semi-final, but it's a little bit different when you get PSG in a semi-final. It's a little bit different, right, when, you know, you get Real Madrid in a quarter-final.
They had
I think
Frankfurt.
you can realise, right, it's a lot more difficult to win. And then if we had beaten PSG, we would have had Inter Milan in a final, right? These are all teams that were champions of their leagues, right? It's a lot different to playing Bodo Glimt, to playing a dreadful Manchester United team. I have to say, Manchester United, for me, Spurs, well done to them, because Spurs now, right, they can build off of that. They can, I think United needed that more than Spurs. When you look at Manchester United's financial position, right, I had a United fan before the game. This is why, Lee, when I say to you, right, I'm not hurting. I didn't want Spurs to win, I'm not going to lie, but I can't hurt when I keep thinking about these lot as well. I had this United fan say to me yesterday, when I saw him during the day, right? He goes, when we win, he said, right? I said to him, I go, you ain't played the game yet. But he goes, when we win, Gyökeres will come to us. He won't even think about coming to you lot. That's what he said. And I said, bro, you ain't even won that yet. You better be careful. These men are beating you 3 times this season. You never know. I think you probably win with your experience, but you never know. He's like, when we win, right? And now look, I'd say the only way they're going to be able to even buy players, if you look at their financial position, they're really on the borderline of the PSR rules right now. They're going to have to sell like Garnacho, they're going to have to sell Mainu, all them sort of homegrown players, Rashford. And I don't even think they're going to get the type of money that they think they can get for those players. Because they're not very good, that Man United team.
Listen, I remember a few years ago, Man United fans, and this is where I'm a little bit like that with you. Enjoying 8th position, are you? Like, you know what I mean? Gloating and all that, like, enjoying it down there. Like, I have never seen
it's
a
club. It's a laugh after, you lot think about it's coming 4th and all things like that.
I've never seen a club that, be it so high up, fall so badly. And I mean in every aspect of a football club. Yesterday's fan base should be ashamed of themselves yesterday. Like, outnumbered by Spurs, outsung by Spurs, didn't even know that they were there. You know what I mean? Like, poor. This is supposed to be the biggest club in the world, they say. Like, they weren't yesterday. The team was shocking. Absolutely shocking. Now, I will say this, and I need to say this. Forget about how shocking the game was from Spurs' point of view, because I remember playing Man United in the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was Cardiff.
It was the worst game of football ever, but we won the game, and it don't cares now how crap that game was.
It was a dreadful game, right?
It doesn't matter.
I think it was a game that did reflect where the two teams are in the league. Matter. But for Spurs,
does not matter.
For Spurs only, not United.
No, not for United. Matter. It's forget about for them to put on that performance and that way. And that manager, how he's in a job, I do not know.
He's a fraud.
Absolutely, long may it continue, because they are shocking. It is the worst team I've seen for a very, very long while. Get this right. 4 times Tottenham Hotspur have beaten them. 4 times this season. You know what I mean? It's incredible. It's incredible. They'd have still been out there today and still not scored against Tottenham, who concede goals left, right and centre. That is the most shocking performance from a football team I've ever seen. And people turn around and go, if you're any right mind, if you're a top footballer, why would you want to go there? I'm sure Cunha's thinking to himself now, get me somewhere else, because I want to go there. They were toothless up front. There's nothing up front. He's got Garnacho, who comes on with 20 minutes to go. They look like they might get something. 20 minutes to go, he come on.
I know.
Unbelievable, you know what I mean?
Midfield. I had that manager, Ruben Amorim, right, under Fraud Watch, right? Because I've been watching it. I've been keeping it from about 6-7 games ago. I'm like, what's this guy done? The United fans talking him up.
I think he's a Man City fan, isn't he?
Talking him up about, we got Amorim and you got Arteta. I'm like, brother, what has this guy done since he's come to Manchester United? When I look at, right, you compare him to some of the other managers that are coming. You got United fans saying, but you ain't these players. The players are crap. The this, the that, yeah? What about David Moyes? Look at the job he's done since he come in at Everton. The same players, those players, way worse than what United have got here. They ain't got a Bruno Fernandes. They ain't got a Casemiro and everything. They got, Ashley Young.
Yeah.
Right, and players like that, yeah? And look what David Moyes has done.
He's a better manager, David Moyes.
Turned it around, got them winning, got them playing a certain style thing. Look at that manager who came in at Wolves. When that guy came in, right, he's around the same time as Amorim. I think he's Portuguese as well, isn't he?
Yeah, they was like
they were like about a point off relegation.
Yeah.
The guy's turned them around completely. He's got the best out of every player. When I'm looking at Rasmus Højlund, you compare Rasmus Højlund to one of his Scandinavian mates, right, in that Strand Larsen. What that guy has got out of Strand Larsen and what Ruben Amorim has got out of Haaland. Haaland? What's his name? Højlund, right? This guy, what's he done? Wow. I think he's very, very lucky to keep. You're talking about Big Ange. I think this guy, he's been worse than Big Ange.
Oh, he's proved it.
Big Ange can point to, yeah. That's the other thing with Big Ange, yeah. There was one time, I think it was just after Christmas or when they lost a load of games in a row and they were really getting onto him in a press conference. And I remember he said one in that press conference, I actually sort of was like, yeah, you know what? He's kind of true. He was talking about the amount of players we're missing.
Yeah.
And he goes, any team would suffer that. And I thought about it, I was like, he is right. Still shouldn't be doing as bad as they are. But there is a serious mitigation. He's got loads of players. He's got no Van der Ven, no Ramiro, no this, no that. This guy, even yesterday's game, he had literally a full squad to pick from, right?
And Ange didn't.
Ange didn't have his best players. He didn't have Maddison. He didn't have Kulusevski. He didn't have Bergveld, right? This man's got like it. I'm thinking, I'm watching it. I'm like, when's he going to change it? What's he done to Kobe Mainu? I remember being at the Euros last season, watching this kid and thinking, hey, United have got a player here, man. This guy's playing for England, lighting it up. Since Amorim's come in, he's gone completely backwards. He's like, he don't want to play the guy. Last night, he didn't bring him on till near the end.
When Casemiro's legs had gone, by the way, by that stage.
Exactly. Every player's kind of gone backwards under this guy. And then they keep telling me about Arteta. I'd have Arteta all day long over this Ruben, as my daughter calls him, scammering, right? Because he's scamming them right now. I'm telling you, you're talking about Big Ange, right? I think this guy, he's been worse. He's come in, I think, since Christmas. I think they said since Christmas.
9 points.
9 points.
Unbelievable.
9 points, bro. And I think one of that was Southampton at home, which they just about barely scraped. I mean,
those 2-1, they were right at the death, didn't they? Was losing that game.
Yeah. Probably Leicester. They may as well have kept Ten Hag. Ollie was better than this guy. Am I lying?
No.
Look at Pierre at the moment.
Keep him there as long as he wants him.
As I said, they're going to use the excuse and say, it ain't his players, it ain't this, it ain't that. But it ain't the guys from Wolves players.
No.
And David Moyes thing, those ain't his players either. Yeah? Those ain't his players either.
No.
And even when you look at... Sorry, but even when you look at when the game against Lyon, listen.
Luck,
the man them down to 9 men. You managed to even when I think about that Bilbao game, Bilbao down to 10 men. You start to think about it. This guy, he's insists on this three at the back. That's what I do. Like he's coming into the league like you're some big man manager, right? That's what I do. You're in the elite league now. Listen, no disrespect to the Portuguese league, right? And well done to him. He had a great record. He won the league with Sporting. By the way, he's left. They've still won the league. The guy took over for him, won the league as well, right? But fair play to him. He won leagues and that in there. But you got to respect the league then that you come into. You can't just waltz in there like he was coming in like he's thinking he's Mourinho. That's why I play. And it's either I play my style and die by it. And I'm like, bro, you have to learn to adapt. Even Big Ange. Again, I've got to give him credit. I'll give him Tottenham way too much credit right now. But I've got to give him credit. I have to, right? I can't be a complete hater, right? We always slag that guy off and say high line, this, that. Last night he went bare defensive after they scored that goal and got the win.
Listen, I'm with you on that, and you have to.
What's that, Amarin? What's he ever done to change any tactics?
You have to say with Ange yesterday, and one of the biggest things he done, he left Song out yesterday as well. A massive call to leave your captain out. The right decision, because he
that
said,
Richarlison played all right.
Yeah, and he said that Richarlison will come in there and do a job defensively and things like this, blah, blah, and done it. Now, at the end of the day, Ange's criticism for me is that he's not done that in the Premier League. If he would do what he's doing in Europe, then Spurs could be a different animal. But this manager's got absolutely nothing. He's done nothing. And let's be really honest about it, really. You know what I mean? They ain't beating Villa at the weekend, right? And that is enough points in any other season to get relegated.
Yeah, not even 40 points.
You know what I mean? Like, I will say with Tottenham, you're right what you're saying. They've had a lot of injuries and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And also, when you're a new manager coming in, I don't think you can do what Ange has done and say, oh, I can focus on this and all that, like, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You've got to come in, you've got to do it. Listen, this thing of... So what happens now, like, is that Man United, right, have got to go and buy a load of players for him now, like, so he can't coach these players, so he's got to get his own players in.
The thing is, he ain't going to be able to buy loads and loads of players, because where they're going to get the money from?
He ain't. They ain't going to be.
Unless they sell, they've got they've got Sancho coming back, because Chelsea ain't going to want him. They've got to try and sell Rashford. I don't think they'll get the big money that they want for Rashford. And to me, what they're going to have to do is sacrifice two of their young talent in Garnacho and Mainu in order to bring players in.
And Mainu, by the way, as you said last, he come on in the 88th minute yesterday.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Crazy.
I know he's had a couple of injuries and all that, like, but
no, he's all right now. I mean, that was ridiculous.
But they've got nothing. Man United have got what as I say, like, and Bruno Fernandes was poor yesterday. Like, he
went back to his old ways, isn't it?
Yeah, he can't
just
keep
moaning
doing
and groaning all game.
He can't do it every week in.
Yeah, you can't depend on one guy.
And also, you it doesn't matter whatever standard of football you play in. You've got to have some decent players in and around you to make you look better. He had nothing yesterday. Nothing.
And some of his signings don't look that great. Dorgu, Garte, and things like that.
We didn't even come on. Bought him.
That's what I'm saying to you, Lee. Right? Me, listen. I didn't want Tottenham to win it, but hurting, nah, man. When I think of these criminals, Manchester United, right? When I think they've actually been worse than, I think last night proved it. They have been worse than Spurs this season, right? When you think. In the league, they haven't had the injuries that Spurs have had, and they've been worse. And then Spurs have beaten them 4 times, including beating them in a final. That proves comprehensively the Spurs are a better team than Manchester United.
100%.
Right? And this guy, right, I'm telling you.
I always said Tottenham would win that game yesterday.
I thought, I'll be honest with you, I thought United would win. I thought their experience.
I did say Spurs.
I thought the experience of players like Casemiro and Bruno and Maguire and that would get them through. But what was the guy's tactics yesterday? Lumped the ball up to Maguire.
I don't know what his philosophy was yesterday. Like, I'll tell you what, Spurs would have been a little bit more careful on the counter attack. They could have opened them up for
because they had that counter attack when Solanke should have done better. Would have been 2.
2, like, you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, listen, they've got a goalkeeper that gives their defence the shape.
I think he should have done better with that. I mean, I think, right. I was saying to my brother, okay, if that's Raya, he claws that out. If that's Alisson, he claws it out. If that's Edison.
David Seaman would have clawed that out now.
Yeah, I just think, like, it does. He's not. I think it's too harsh to say it's his fault. It's not. It's a deflection thing. But he should have been a little bit more aware. It weren't like it was a mega deflection. I think he should be clawing that out.
If my goalkeeper, John, who's Vet's goalkeeper, like, very good goalkeeper, by the way, done that, he'd be getting slaughtered. He would be getting slaughtered in the dressing room. Like, what was you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Honestly. It's shambolic. It's shambolic. But listen, we could never win in this game, really, because, like, Man United, if Man United won it, we'd be getting stick. If Tottenham win it, we'd be getting stick. It's just the worst scenario. Worst case scenario. 2 teams that I only want Man United to win 2 games a season. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest, like, you know what I mean? That's against them.
Yeah.
You know? And the reason it is Spurs is because we've been brought up to dislike Spurs.
Exactly.
That's how it is, you know what I mean? Like, you know?
Do you know what, right? Has this now put, you know, because listen, they've won it. They've got parades Friday. We're parading around the streets of North London with a European trophy. Does this put serious pressure now on Mikel Arteta for next season? And also, could this in a one crazy way be a good thing? In the pressure now on Arsenal to go out there and make some signings that are going to be brilliant signings to hopefully get us over the line in one of these big competitions. Because we won't be in the Europa League. We're going to be in Champions League. We're going to be contesting the league up against Liverpool, City. All these teams are going to come back. Arsenal needs some big signings. We've seen us being linked to Gyökeres, Rodrigo, all these players. Has now Tottenham winning that, parading that around in front of Arsenal fans, bragging rights, has that put serious pressure on Mikel Arteta and the board to go and do something serious? I'm not even bothering to talk about the Southampton game because I'm dead rubber. I'm on about this.
Not in my opinion. What Spurs have done shouldn't affect us. I'll tell you what's hurt me more than Spurs winning that, Liverpool winning the Premier League. That's what should inspire us. That's what should make us go and you know what I mean? Because Liverpool overtook us this season, like, you know. So that hurts me more, you know what I mean? Well, them winning the league has hurt me more. Shouldn't be worried about what Spurs have done in a competition.
But listen, it's your neighbours and they've just gone and won a European trophy, right? I don't think Arsenal fans are going to tolerate some rubbish window.
No.
We don't go and buy a striker and we don't go and get what we need. I think the pressure is on.
Yeah, like, you know,
the pressure is on.
Arsenal have got to win a trophy.
Whoever.
Arsenal have got to win a trophy, not because Spurs have won one down the road and all that. Like, Arsenal have got to win it because we're Arsenal Football Club. It's been too long.
That's
now.
true, but now it's even more in. I think it's ramped up by this.
Well,
I think the window's ramped up because of what's happened, right? Because I just feel like fans are not going to tolerate some substandard window.
No, well,
they're going to want to. They want to see some serious business by Arsenal to know that we mean business next season.
I'll ask you the question: If it weren't a great window and Spurs hadn't won, you'd still be peeved?
I'd still be peeved, but I think I'd be even more peeved now because I'm like, yo, now the pressure's on. You know, you're really going to be getting grief off of Tottenham fans this summer and blah blah. You know, I want to see Arsenal.
Looking forward to Hong Kong.
We played Tottenham in Hong Kong. All right.
They could be super. You know, like no, they won't be, will they? Like, you know,
they'll bring the trophy with them as well.
They bring the trophy with them, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
yeah, I'll put some flowers in it.
Champions of Europe, you know, and we are. They'll be singing, like, you know what I mean?
They will be. It's a
like,
second tier competition. Remember, that's Google it. It'll tell you that.
And they've got the Super Cup to come.
But if they win that, imagine that they could do. It's a cup competition, could win it. But to me, right, I think the pressure's on. They cannot go this summer now, and I want to see a top tier striker.
I think like this Gyökeres one is sort of like being sort of
being talked about, but you know what I mean. I think they better get that done.
I won't be excited until it's done. Like, you know what I mean. By the way, like, you know, the club already took some money out of my account this week.
Season
like,
tickets,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
So
Bosch straight away. Like, they haven't even made a signing yet, and the season ain't even finished. You know, they don't care that they're ruthless. They are.
They better do the business of summer in that transfer window. I'm telling you, right? I don't want.
Well, it's got to be massive. I don't care what it
has to be,
especially when the owner Kroenke puts in the program that he's going to invest. It's all right saying it's so and so that he's put it in the program that they're going to invest. You know what I mean? Like, and it needs doing. I think
said that last year.
Well,
to Raheem Sterling.
I think it's going to be a massive.
It has to be. It has to be. I'm telling you, the pressure's on.
Yeah, and I don't care what anybody says. I like, you know, Zubimendi and all that, great and all that. Like, I will not be excited. I won't be anything until that striker comes through the door.
Me too.
That striker has to come through the door.
I'll be excited. If we get Gyökeres, I'm excited because I'm like, they've gone out there and they've got a killer. right? So hopefully, you can never guarantee it's going to work, but I just want to know that there's a guy in there that scores goals. That's what he does by trade. We haven't had that for a while.
There's still a little talk about Sesko as well, isn't there? That's
talk about Sesko. I saw rumours this week about Rodrigo from Real Madrid. That's all great. But some of these better happen. Because if they don't, I don't think you know what will happen? It's not that there's going to be some revolt or nothing, but what it will, the fans will be on a tight string. Like, you know what I mean? Going into that new season.
Well,
that means if you don't...
100%. That would have affected what happened with Tottenham and all that, will affect the fans, you know what I mean? There's a little bit more edginess now.
Yeah.
I think that's correct, yeah.
They're going to be like, yo, you didn't go in... First thing will be like, you didn't go buy that, didn't buy that. Now look, but they have to. Yeah. They have to. Just before we go there, prediction for Southampton. Southampton away. Last game of the season.
I'm not even about for it, am I? Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not even going to watch it. There you go. Like, but
oh yes, you're off on your holes, right?
Yes, yeah. So 2-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3-1. Southampton actually, remember they got a 0-0 against City.
Yeah, Raya needs
another clean sheet
to
make
sure, doesn't he? Like, you know, so
yeah. Well, let's see what happens. But that's the game of the week. No,
you going?
I'm going. You know what? I turned down.
I heard that in Monaco.
That's actual facts. I turned down Monaco Grand Prix the whole weekend as well, Saturday and Sunday.
That is the ultimate one to go to this game. Well.
The ultimate one to go. I've always wanted to go to it. I've never been to Monaco Grand Prix. I've always wanted to go to it. And I said I can't because it's Southampton. It was the last game of the season. I have to be there. Last game of the season. But boy, I'm probably the biggest eater. That's what we do for our club, man. So we will be there at the game. Looking forward to it's the last game. We sit at the last game and then it's into that transfer window, which opens early because of the Club World Cup.
Yeah, what day is it? Is it
1st of June.
First
Opens for a couple of weeks, then shuts, then opens again. Arsenal must do some big business in its transfer window.
So really it's only a week and it's open then, isn't it?
Yeah. It's opening early because they're allowing players to be signed in time.
So I want that. I know we're not in that World Cup thing. Like,
Club World Cup, yeah.
Club World Cup. I still want those signings done in that window then. Is that what you... Well, we still do that?
Yeah, you can do signings.
Right, so
it's basically designed for those clubs that are in the Club World Cup to be able to sign a player in time to play for the club in the Club World Cup.
Right, got you.
Right?
But it's still an open window.
But it's an open window for everybody.
Right, so I want Arsenal. I want that striker in that window.
Yeah, and this is why you've been seeing business already. Like you're seeing Frimpong more or less already signing for Liverpool. Zubimendi, more or less, that's been done for Arsenal. You know what I mean? There's some signings that are kind of, you know what I mean, because everyone's doing it early to try and get it done in before that. But I think there will be signings after that. But that window's opening and shutting to help out those teams that are in that competition. Chelsea, Man City, Real Madrid, those. Remember, Real Madrid
can still benefit us.
Yeah. Real Madrid have been trying to sign Trent Alexander-Arnold early because, give a compensation to Liverpool so that he can play in that competition. So, which they've refused.
Yeah, because the contract runs out in July 1st.
And that's why they did it, because contracts run out.
And the competition at the end of June. End of June, doesn't it?
Yeah. So that's the reasons why. But anyway, we've reached the end of the show today. Hope you've enjoyed it. Listen, Dave won it. Them lot down the road have actually gone and won a trophy. We can't say the trophy cabinet is empty no more, right? Because it ain't. They got something in it, right? But forget about them. It's all about us now. What are we going to do in this summer transfer window? Can we get in the signings that we can go and challenge at the highest level? Because at the end of the day, Europa League is a second-tier competition. We're not in that competition. We're not going to be in it next year. But we want to win a trophy. So what do we do? Because to win these trophies are hard. Champions League. What do we do to make sure we do that next season? Because if we don't do that next season, we might be looking for a new manager as well. Thanks, Lee. Enjoy your holidays, mate.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back next week with another Invincible podcast. The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, Brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.